0, 1.
Let's get started.
Yo, what it do? It's O'Kane here, back at it again with another video. Today we got the MRX-GT on deck by MST. So today's episode we're going to be discussing on how I do my maintenance on shocks. But maybe not just shocks. I might do a little suspension work to show off to you guys, because this car is modified with a Shibata rear end. So you guys get to see a little sneak peek on how I did that. But other than that, the main course of this channel is suspension with shocks and springs. Now, the shocks that I use for this car are MST TDA shocks, and these shocks I really like because you can let's go from there. So the shocks on this car are MST TDA shocks, and I really like these shocks because you can adjust the height from unscrewing the little nub on the tip. I will show you in a sec. Pop this off if it focuses. You get to unscrew the tip and make the length a little longer, and it goes out by 3 millimeters, I believe, probably more. A longer connector at the end, so it makes the shock more longer than it has to be. Now, when it comes to doing the shocks, what I like to do is always do the fronts first and then the rear last. It really doesn't matter which one's which, but I just like to keep it organized and not mix up the shocks. So let's get to it. So here we have a layout of the stuff that I usually bring out when it comes to doing maintenance on the shocks. We have a set or a pair of these shock shafts, brand new, not even touched, straight out of the packaging when I got the MRX. Here we got some pistons. I do not know where these pistons are from, but we might switch these out. I painted a little bit of gold on the springs. I sometimes mix match the spring colors, so these ones are actually green springs, but I put gold so I can see which ones they are under my liking. So first things first, undo the spring, undo the tension. Don't worry, it won't hurt you like a real car, but it really helps out so you don't have to force your fingers all the way through, and less chance of you bending the spring, because a bent spring sucks. I bent the spring by accident once and it was not fun. Take out the retainer, take off the spring. These ones are green and purple, so I don't know if these are actually softer. I don't know. We might leave them on. Who knows? So, anyways. Here is the TDA shock. Taking a look at it. Got a little bit of dirt and grime. So, what we're going to do now is twist this end off, and as soon as you get enough thread, just go by the threads. Don't do it to the point where it's going to run the threads, but it's better off being on the shaft itself. Undo the cap. Set the cap to the side. Oil's clear. Always check the fluid too. It's clear, so that means no O-rings are busted, so which is good. And since we're doing a complete maintenance, we're taking everything out. And we tend to roll up a paper towel shove it into the cylinder and twist it so it gets every piece of the wall. You want to make sure you don't have any excess oil, because if you're doing a different weight, some of the original oil might flow to the top or descend to the bottom. So science. Even though it's just an RC car, I still hold that to heart, so always keep that in mind. It might interfere with the performance of the shock. So here we are checking the edges, make sure there's no scratches. Like a real motor, you want to check out the cylinders, make sure it's not scratched or anything. Obviously not, because it's just nothing but oil in there, and it better be nothing but oil. And it's just like normal rubbing alcohol, nothing special. Drench it with the alcohol and just go inside the cylinder and give it a good wipe down. Alright, so I kind of moved my lighting system a little bit. I just said, to hell with it, let's see what I can do. So I just brought it down more lower, see if that made the lighting more good. Now, back to what I was doing, alcohol in the shock, and oh yeah, the lighting is way better. Got some grime under there. I don't know if that's the dirt or what the hell. Or it might be just the stuff. Now that the cylinder is cleaned up, we're gonna undo this little cap on the bottom. Here you have the little cap to the bottom of the cylinder. And as we can see, we found the problem. I didn't put any oil when installing the O-rings. So instead of blue O-rings, we're gonna put on the Yokomo white O-rings. And at the bottom, and always clean up the threads too. For some reason, the threads lead up to the inside. To clean out the threads, just get a toothbrush. As far as I can see, not much. There's the 5 piston hole. I'm gonna show you a really quick hack on how to improve rebound. You see, that's why you need a brand new tip, because I almost did it with this tip and it wasn't gonna work out. And I can't stress you enough, if you are working with an X-Acto knife, be careful, dude, because there's been a couple of times in my life where I messed around with these knives not knowing any better, and I sliced my finger open. And it took the nail with it too. Make sure it's in there. Pull on it. So this is what I do. See the holes that are already pre-drilled out, obviously, from the functionality of a piston. The fluid travels through these little microscopic holes. And then sometimes if your piston's messed up, it might travel outside the piston. So what I do, grab the tip of the X-Acto, put it in that hole and lightly twist. Don't put any pressure, just let the knife do the thing for you. Don't put any pressure. See, I'm just twisting it, and it's already taking out like a good piece. Now, you can see the before and after. Before there were little tiny square holes, but now they are bored out with a little cone shape to it. And when you're doing that, sometimes it will leave these little things at the edge. So try to scrape off those as much as you can. I've done them off camera, so you don't have to see the boring process of me doing it. The compression is going to be more quicker and smoother, and the rebound as well, since the bottoms are done. So it's going to give more reactivity to the spring, I guess you could say. Like, the spring's going to be more reactive when it comes to actually putting its energy on the shock. So just a quick look, give it a little quick inspection, make sure there's no plastic pieces hanging around or anything. If so, try to take them off, because the last thing you want to have is one of those pieces of plastic floating inside your shock and ripping up the rubber insulator on the cap, or just messing up the performance of the shock in general. Now it comes to the assembly of the shock. When it comes to the assembly, always like try to clean out all the dirt and grime off the O-rings. They should be brand new when you put them in, but in this case I kept them in a bag and there's a lot of dust and grime. See a little dust on here, so just use the recycled stuff. Then put the shock through. When the shock is through, sometimes you put a little drop, go from the shaft and let gravity do its thing. And then boom, shock O-ring is lubricated. Set that aside, inspect the cap. Then we cleaned off the bottom cap. Careful not to cross thread. The last thing you want to do is cross thread the shock. And these are like $120 shocks. Do a little test. Feels good. You can go ahead and put on the little end cap. So there it is, it's on. I sometimes leave a little bit of thread because never does a shock bottom out. There's always a retainer on the bottom to keep the thread from reaching that point of the shock. So it's just nothing but shock shaft. So the threads doesn't interfere. And if you want, you can unscrew it a little bit and have a little bit more length, but that's perfectly fine with me. Inspect the cylinder, make sure there's no pieces of plastic. Looks good. Then we can go ahead and fill up the shock with our 10 weight Yokomo shock oil. Now when it comes to pistons, you don't just want to slap on the cap. For some reason, there's always going to be air bubbles. You do not want air bubbles in your shock because it will interfere with the performance. It'll feel squishy and it doesn't feel right. So just continue to go up and down. I go by 10 times. See, that's why I do it 10 times. There was more that just went out. And another one. Try not to bump it, try not to do anything with it. Then you put the cap on top. Slowly twist on the cap. You don't want it too tight, but you need it tight to the point where you can still take it off. So there is some resistance towards the bottom end, which it really doesn't matter because we're going to put the restraint on it. But what I like to do is for it not to have that resistance and smoothly go up and down instead of fighting back. And I feel like there was a little bit of air trapped inside, so we're going to take off the cap and inspect the oil. Yeah, just a little bit of air bubbles. And sometimes you don't even have to take out oil. The cap is probably enough to take out the oil for you. So it took a little bit of time, and it's always trial and error when it comes to shocks, because you do want to have the correct rebound and such. Not only that, it's the shock fluid itself. In a specific point, when it reaches top dead center, there tends to be air bubbles up top, and then when you let it go, you'll feel it. So I had to get rid of that. I had to take out fluid, apply fluid, take out fluid, apply fluid until there's no air bubbles traveling through the shock piston. So now it feels good. They're both evened out. Now that's the... So with the new springs on it, the new setup I have on it, it kind of squatted the car down. So from here, you can feel the difference when it comes to boring out the pistons. It's not more resistant. It's not more resistant than it was before. So it's more fluid when it comes to rebound and everything. It feels like there's no oil in it, which in case there is. So literally all you have to do is just adjust the spring. So look at the rebound on this. Just flicking my finger on the front end. And there's a basketball. When tuning your suspension, always, even if you have to do it on and off, put on your body, because the body will add weight to the front end as well. So from here, I would like to at least set it from at least this point. Literally all it is trial and error. So if you don't like the setting of it, always adjust your springs. And if you don't like how bouncy it is, you can get other pistons that aren't bored out and you could just adjust to it accordingly. But that takes a long process. But personally for me, I like it to be a little bouncy on front end. So a lot of lift, a lot of droop. Just, it feels good to me. Plus I like the look of it when the car accelerates and the front end lifts up. So I want to say that's about where I want it. Probably just a little bit lower. And when it comes to testing the suspension, I always go by the chassis plate besides the body. So when it comes to the body, you have to fit the body to the chassis. It's not fit the chassis to the body. If that makes any sense. You're not trying to make the body look good with the stance and all that. You're trying to tune the chassis first, have the chassis perform the way you want it, and then fit the body to the chassis. That's the best way I can describe it. So, and I always check like the base of the chassis, see how low it is. It looks like the rear end is more higher, but we can drop the rear end as well. Because at the track where I run at Tandem, they squat their fucking cars. They squat them. They squat them. So the front end, I'm starting to like, test the body on it. This feels good. That feels great. Enough room to bounce, enough room to go over any humps. And then when I accelerate, pop up. I love the bounce. You can play with it all day. So my gimbal just took a crap. It just died, so I had to charge it up. So this one I'm using my hands to record. This was the old motor off of the MRX. I loved it. I fell in love with the sound of it, with all the boosts and the turbo winding up. It's awesome. The only problem with it is that one of the solder points that is inside that connects to one of the prongs, it broke off. So I can literally resolder it, but the time I've done it, it just became a mess. So eventually when I become good at soldering that point, I'll put this motor back in this car and use an AccuVance motor for another chassis. But if there is an opportunity of me getting an AccuVance ESC, then definitely I'll run AccuVance on this car. But I want to run the new AccuVance motor that was out, the little thin one. I forgot what the name was. I think it's Maverick or something like that. I don't remember. But it is a 10.5 turn. And the Hobby Wing ESC is tuned to my liking. I might retune it just like how I have the Beast mode. But I don't know, because I like the response out of this. Not too much boost, not too much turbo, not too much anything. It's just nice and subtle, and it keeps up with all the other guys. Let's see what else. The receiver on the car is the Fly Sky receiver with an MB4 Plus. And Yokomo electronics front portion of the car. Yokomo electronics for the steering, and the Yokomo electronics for the steering servo and the gyro works kick-ass. If I had the opportunity, I would run Rev D so I can give it a try. And I like the design of Rev D for the red on red chassis. Let's see. I also have this light right here to indicate if the car is shut off. So say if I turn it on and I'm running around in the track and it just randomly stops, I look through the window, and if this is off, that means the car shut off. So it's a clear indication that the car shut off instead of relying on the voltmeter, because obviously that's going to be on until the battery is just drained. So let's see. Yeah, that's basically the rundown on this chassis. The future of this chassis, I do plan on running a stage 1 beast mode chassis on this. I want to see if I can build up some money and get that chassis, because I really like the design of beast mode, but I'm going to be using all the red aluminum carbon fiber shock towers and the rear shock towers. So probably, if anything, I'll just hold on to the beast mode shock towers whenever someone is looking for MST shock towers. I'm just in love with this front end, the way that it bounces and the fluidity. I'm gonna have to test this out right now. So there is the shock maintenance for this car. That was the main point of the video. Other than that, it was just extra credit, but I will be uploading about this car more in the future. Probably tomorrow, if I have the time for it, because there is a set schedule that I have to deal with. I could possibly run these cars on my floor so you can use. I can possibly run these cars on my floor so you can possibly see the performance on it. It's kind of hard to tell, but this is literally my floor. I literally have like an L shape to deal with, so I'll usually just start from here and go around and then come back here. So yeah, just a little heart shape, L shape track that I got to deal with. I also have these new bright RC cars that I do plan on building. This one is for sale if you're in Tucson, Arizona, or if you want to buy it, just comment down below. I'm thinking about like 50 bucks. It is restored, so I did take out the rear end and I did replace it, re-greased it, cleaned up the electronics, and it works perfectly fine. The little dude is included with it. This one is just a roller, and that one is a complete project truck. That one already has Bluetooth speakers and such, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But yeah, so that is it for this car. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any questions about more shock setups, what kind of springs that you should run, or if you have any recommendations on anything, comment down below. It doesn't hurt. So hopefully you guys like the video. Please comment, like, subscribe, and share it with your friends who are into the hobby, or if you want to introduce them to the hobby, because we do need more people to enjoy this. And please, I need a track to deal with here in Arizona, man. It sucks. there's no track for where I'm from. So yeah, enjoy. Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you're from. Peace.